No, it's not a hack. Why do you say that?
It's a hack. Be quiet. We're not on TV yet. Everyone can hear you. So, hi, I'm Richard Carlton. Welcome to FileMaker Training. Moving along here. So, we are simulcasting. Today is all on WebDirect. And so I want to get into that as soon as we can. If you have questions, let me know. So, Nick, are you ready to talk about WebDirect?
Yes, I am ready to talk about WebDirect.
Okay. All right. So let me make your screen full screen. Here we go. There. By the way, that's everyone. Nick in his fancy broadcasting studio behind the golden EIB microphone, and then we will just leave it at that. He stole that from a famous person. So moving along. All right. I'm gonna. Why don't you go switch yourself to full screen, Nick, if you would, for me.
Okay. So first of all, before to do any kind of demonstration, I want to talk about WebDirect, and we have a set of video in our course about web. You can talk about that later, about the course we have on WebDirect. But we explain very well the difficulty you can encounter when you want to use WebDirect as let's say a runtime. Okay, if you want to run a FileMaker custom app on the web, you have problems most of the time because it's not due to FileMaker, it's due to the web support, the web platform. So I want to talk about that. I say, okay, so what you cannot say, okay, I have a solution that works perfectly well on desktop and I want just like by magic get it working on WebDirect. It is not working that way. And I think this is not our fault. It's not our user fault. I think the fault came from Clary/FMI themselves because they didn't advertise the product the right way. They had exactly the same problem in 2010, 2011, when they came out with the first version of FileMaker Go. They told the people that FileMaker Go could run any kind of FileMaker solution, which is true without to be true. That's the same for WebDirect. WebDirect can run any kind of FileMaker solution. It is true, but you have to do a major redesign on the solution in order to get it working great on WebDirect. So now, WebDirect you need to focus on many things with WebDirect. Is the amount of users that are connected on WebDirect and the volume of data that you're treating with on WebDirect, and what the nature of the data that you're working or you want to display on WebDirect. So those are elements that you need to take in consideration before or prior to think about sharing your solution on WebDirect. And here, this is a screenshot I have from the video we have on our course. We were talking about, in the course, we were talking about why those WebDirect slow after 5 or 6 users. For the simple reason that everything you do on WebDirect, 100% of anything you do is performed on server. That means script are performed on server, the logic is performed on server, the opening and closing of record, the find, the sort, everything is performed on server. So here, in this image that you can see here, we illustrated what happened. Computer, imagine you have one computer and you have 15 screens. So you have one computer, 15 screens connected to the computer, 15 mouse and 15 keyboards, and you have 15 times FileMaker Pro open in that computer, and you have 15 people using FileMaker simultaneously on that computer. This is what happens when you use WebDirect.
Hey, Nick.
Your server, yeah.
Yeah. I want to just I'm going to just jump on this and help out a little bit with the clarification on this, just to make sure people aren't confused a little bit. So with WebDirect, I mean, the idea is you build something in FileMaker and you magically just take it to Go, and mostly it works. And you magically, you take it over to the WebDirect, and it mostly, and I say the word quotes, mostly works. The difference is Pro and Go, do a lot of the work themselves. They actually have the brain, right? Nick's talked about this in the videos, and I just want to make sure that we hit this correctly. Is that, Nick said, well, if at 5 people it slows down, well, it's not necessarily 5 people. It's just to understand that what happens with FileMaker Pro is that when FileMaker Pro talks to the server and it's doing its job, it's doing some of the work. When FileMaker goes on an iPhone or iPad, it's doing some of the work. With a web browser, there is no work being done by the browser. Browser does almost no data management at all. And so every time the users do a sort, find anything, they're hitting the server, and it puts a higher load on the server. It's just the way that is. And so, of course, it works like anything else in the FileMaker world, and Nick can expand upon this, but you can build it any way you want and put it on the cloud, and it's going to work 5 users, 10 users, 20 users. At some point, though, if you have a bad process or maybe an inefficient process, it's going to quit working well, and it tends to quit working well sooner on WebDirect, right, Nick? I mean, you could get away with more. Nick would always tell me this, and I'm repeating stuff that you've said, Nick.
Yes. No, you exactly.
You could get away with more on Pro and Go. You can have bad behaviors and bad habits as a developer, but WebDirect is much stricter, right? So
yes, exactly what we explained in the video. That means when you run your file locally, like you open a file new, you say create new, and you have your file on your hard drive. You can do pretty much everything you want, even bad things. As soon as you start having the file shared on server, shared on cloud, and shared on cloud and WebDirect at the end of the food chain, you have very limited amount of possible mistakes here. You need to use the state-of-the-art techniques as much as possible, because otherwise, if you have, as I said, more than 5-10 users, you will get hit very very soon by a door slamming your face, because
okay, you said okay. I just have to ask. So you just said hit very soon.
Yeah, because
okay, I heard a different word there, and some people are going, "What did he say?" And I was like,
hit, I said hit very soon.
Hit. Not okay. Yeah, I got it. Okay, great.
Hit. H-I-T, hit.
Because I've not heard the word very soon.
No.
Okay, I was just confused.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay,
no.
Although it's the same meaning, I guess, right? So.
No, you get hit. I mean, you have a problem. So to limit that problem, you need to. And that's the reason why we came with this lean design kind of concept, is because every bit of little thing you can get faster and leaner and simpler, every single bit matters. That's what you need to understand. It's not like, oh, I don't care about that. Oh, I know it's dirty. I don't care. No. You need to work on everything you're saying. You need to have your script very small. I know I have one of my biggest customer watching us, Scott, and we work together. He's a FileMaker developer, and I'm working on his file, and he learned that with me, that even if you have a script that works, it might not work well on WebDirect. So you need to take another approach, and you need to make sure that everything is simpler. Doesn't mean that you need to cut on your capability. It's just that you need to restrict yourself and to limit what I call data movement and stuff like that. So you need to limit everything that is heavy. Okay, but this is not proper to FileMaker. This is a web situation that every single website in the world is encountering. I don't know if you notice, for example, your bank website is kicking you off after 15 seconds or whatever second of inactivity. There's a reason for that, because they have a server. They have the same problem as WebDirect. That means more they have people simultaneously logged in on their website, more the load on the server, more the bigger the load on the server is. So that's why they kick you off. It's not because they don't like you. It's because they want you to free the server. WebDirect the same thing, but while Google, Amazon, and whatever, Apple, they have hundreds of data centers. They are big like cities. there's 100 million computers there. We don't have this. We have one machine, or we have one virtual machine on Amazon. We don't have the power, okay, of what they have, right? So you need to be extremely economical on the usage. And here, what another advice that I'm giving you is that you need to understand that if you have I call that hybrid communication, hybrid sharing. Hybrid sharing is you have people using desktop, right, and people using WebDirect. When you have this situation, WebDirect user can kill the people what's the name connected with desktop, and desktop user can kill people connected with WebDirect. So you need to be careful, and that's the reason why Claris came with the Walker machine. That means you can install your WebDirect engine and your WebDirect, everything that WebDirect related, you can install in another machine, in a different computer.
Okay, so let me jump in on the worker machine, because probably most people here don't know about that. So
yes,
this gets back to this idea of basically you have a single FileMaker server, right? And everything's on the single FileMaker server. And these days, most of the time, ideally, in an ideal situation, you put your web server on a different machine. So if your web server is going out, is hosting all the web pages, even hosting WebDirect, but it's talking to the FileMaker server over here, so there's two machines that are going. A worker machine is really this other machine that does the mental processing, the calculations, if you will, everything that helps out those WebDirect users, right? And so it's an extra machine. FileMaker, has warmed up to this idea. They like the idea. Then sometimes they take the idea away. You don't see it supported. For example, if you're loading solutions up on FileMaker Cloud, there's no worker machine option. It's just a single FileMaker server without the web server. So it's FileMaker Cloud is a single FileMaker server without worker machines. But then if you want really, if you well, the WebDirect does work, right? It works. It's such a funny thing, because WebDirect does work directly. So they have a web server set up, but if you want to do custom web publishing, you have to get your own web server. So this gets really complicated, because we're dealing with multiple clients, right? We're dealing with Pro, which is simple, Go, which is really kind of simple, WebDirect, which is interesting, and then custom web publishing, which is where you build your own pages. If you're building your own pages, you really have to have your own web server. If you're using cloud, it actually does support WebDirect directly out of that server. And so in this case, we're doing the same thing here, Nick, right? You're showing, that's what you're showing?
Yeah, so what I'm going to talk now, do we have any question, by the way?
There's questions towards the end. I just think that, someone says, well, maybe a question towards the end. This is from Elo Jot. What are the alternatives to WebDirect, and in what scenarios would you choose to use WebDirect? Right. Well, we'll spend 2 minutes and talk about where you use WebDirect, right, Nick? Where do you use it?
So So there's, in my opinion, there's two ways to see WebDirect. The first way is you have a solution internally in your in your organization. You have a solution that you share on server, and you want people to be able to get access to this solution either way on desktop using FileMaker Advanced or WebDirect. Okay, so they are exactly the same. They are exactly the same. Why is it not working?
They're exactly the same situation in both cases. There, yeah, you might. Yeah, it might be unhappy.
Maybe I need to reload it. Okay.
Yeah, that could be.
So.
But the idea is that it's the deployment option. So one of them. If you're in Pro or Go, or if you're on a desktop or you're on an iPhone, you have two choices. You can use the FAT client, which is what we call FileMaker Pro as a FAT client, or you can use FileMaker Go, which is really a FAT client, or you can use the web browser. Really, Nick does it a little differently, but the two scenarios that I see for the most part are a company that won't let you, or an organization that won't let you install Pro or Go. So you have to use a browser. You have to use a way to get around the IT people who are blocking your ability to do the job. Or there is no client for it. Like if you're on an Android device, I know that the basic way of accessing a solution with Android is with FileMaker WebDirect. Really, that was its original intent, right? So, to provide Android
Yeah.
access, because this is Apple. Apple doesn't like to directly support Android. It's bad business for Apple corporate. So, I mean, what do you think about that, Nick? I mean,
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. No, that's exactly this. I mean, so you access the same layout, okay, from desktop or from WebDirect. FileMaker Go is kind of different because you kind of need some differentiation in the UI and stuff like that because you're using touch devices, which is kind of a different pointer. You don't have a mouse, you have a finger, so you may have some different things to do. We did a pretty good job in what's the name in FMSP to illustrate that. So we have a set of layouts. Like for example, if I'm taking the contact layout for iPad, for example, it's slightly different. Oh, we can do that because
it jumped. We saw there's a script. It triggered
yeah.
that it figured out what was going on. It jumped.
Yeah, it's
That's fine.
no problem. Yeah, okay. So see, it's the same layout. It's the same data, the same fields, but presented differently it's tailored for an iPad usage, right? So you see it's narrow because iPad you have a narrow layout, right? Narrow screen. You don't have a 27-inch screen that I have now, right? So by the way, I should switch the resolution, right? Right? I forgot about that. Yeah, so I have the problem with the green light now. It's okay.
Just ignore the green line. Everyone sees the green line.
Yeah,
Just disregard the green line, please.
yeah, just disregard. So you access both files. You access the file with desktop and WebDirect the same way, and you can see they look exactly the same. You have the same interaction, the same kind of buttons and stuff like that. So that works perfectly well on both. You have the list here, and you have the list here. So it's exactly the same. You access the same layout on both. You access the same layout on both from both platform, right? So there's no differentiations. So that's the first way to see WebDirect. You have a solution and you want to access internally from the FAT client or the WebDirect. That's the first way to do this.
The browser.
The
Yeah.
second way.
Yeah. So, go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah. Okay. I need.
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
I need to reload this one too.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and do that.
So the second way.
I'm going to answer a couple quick questions, Nick. So MailSoft asked the question, with 5 connectors or 10 connections or whatever, at what point does the performance degrade? It's totally dependent upon what you're doing with the solution, right? How much,
Yes.
If you have a lot of basically all the things that get you into trouble in FileMaker Pro, like when we talk about performance and efficiency and summary fields and all that kind of stuff, the same things that get you in trouble in Pro get you in trouble in WebDirect. They just get you in trouble earlier. So as an analogy for people, right? Say that you're one of these kind of people, and I'm not picking on anyone specifically here. Say that you are, you like to go out and party, and then you maybe drive home and you've had a couple drinks. In some areas, you can drive home with a certain legal limit. In other areas, for example, as a pilot, if I go somewhere and I've been drinking and then I try to fly, the allowable alcohol as a pilot is way lower. It's like 0.02. You can basically have one drink and you're toast. And so the idea is that I would say drinking and flying or drinking and driving, not a great idea. But how far you can do that before you get in trouble changes, right, depending upon the situation. So FileMaker Pro, you can drink and get in trouble ways, and you have some flexibility because it's a more robust platform. You get to the website, right, it's very strict. So if you start having bad behavior, like, we're going to put unstored calculations and do fines against those and summary fields and just lots of images on screen, things like that, it becomes a problem sooner. So it's not a fixed number. So that's what earlier Nick said, well, if you have 5 or 10 people, the problem, that's why I came in and clarified it. It's not necessarily 5 or 10. It's some magical number that you will find. And the way you find it, unfortunately, is when people complain. That's the way you find out about it. So the idea is to build it efficient first before the complaining starts, right? I mean, that's the point with starting point in some of your sample solutions, Nick. They're built with lean design in mind, right? I guess that's,
Yes.
yeah. So
yeah, exactly. So and through the years, since the version 4, that the first version I worked on on FM starting point, since version 4 to the version we have today, the version 7, we constantly updated our code to be better, to have a better behavior on all those platforms. That means FileMaker Go, WebDirect. So we worked on this all the time. So now I want to show you the second way to think about working with WebDirect. Let's say you are a company that you have a solution you use internally. Okay, this is a solution you use internally. Those people are. This is real. All what I'm showing here is real. This is real. This is a real deal. Okay. So and that's why we have sample, because I'm using that example most of the time. So so they have their own solution, internal solution for their internal employees, right? But they have investors. Okay, they have investors, and so this is me, and so you can have it. They have 381 investors, and sometime they agree, they give access to their to the investor. Okay, they give them access to the system. Okay, so if you go down, no, it's not here, but anyway, so you can give access to the user. You give access to the system. So how it works? So when they have access, so you have your internal system here, and then they have access on the web. So let me show you how you do that. So they go on the web, okay? They click on the link, and then they arrive here, and they have to sign in, right? So they sign in with their login and password, okay? And then when they log in, so they have their own pretty much dashboard, okay? So as you can see, you retrieve the same information here. The mortgage Big Sky, the luxury New York hotel. Okay, so now.
So Nick, this is Pro over here, and this is WebDirect over here.
Yeah, this is Pro. Yeah, this is Pro here. Okay.
Okay.
Let me show Okay, this is Pro, and this is WebDirect. So, but you can see this is more. Is richer. The information you have here is richer. You have more functionalities, more possibilities, more information, and stuff like that. That you don't want the public. I mean, you don't want your users to see, right? So here they have an access. So I can show you. So you have the deal here, for example, this luxury hotel. Okay, and you can see here you have information from this, that's the name of the hotel, blah, 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 blah. And then you have information like the capital stack here. Let me get rid of this. You have the capital stack here. So if you go there, for example, you can see capital stack, and you can find the same as here, right? So, but we are in WebDirect, and you can see here you have all the same information. If you go to report, you see you have the escrow release condition. You have escrow release condition. So if I'm doing this, if I'm changing this here, instantly it will be changed here too, in the web. So that means that I'm proving here that this solution here on the back, this solution it's another to that big solution here, okay? But they cannot do anything. They can't do anything. They can't change this. They can't edit anything. They can just see and watch. They can download reports, right? They can see the news, so they can watch videos. I don't know if I have here, for example, they can see. So okay, that is web. I want to see if there's a video somewhere. So there's no videos here. Okay. No, there's no video, but you can download a PDF file. You see, so you can have different. Normally, you can watch video here on see. But anyway, here maybe I have. Okay, you see, you can see pictures. See on the progress. So this is the front. This is web. I want the people to see. I want the people to realize we are on the web. If you want to build something like that with PHP, you need to open the wallet.
Okay. Yeah, open the wallet. Yeah, it's a big giant budget for it, right?
I mean, okay, just to build something like that, where you can download a file, okay, you can download a file where you can see videos or images like that, right? Um, like, and you have documents and you have, but I really want to have some. Maybe I have a video here. Uh, no, I don't have video. I want to see a video. I mean, maybe I have a video on this one. Pictures. I don't have video. This is a anyway. So you see what you see. You know what I mean. What if you want to build something like that, where you can even have an internal discussion. Oh, this is great. You can have an internal discussion with your agent because each investor. I don't want to go to the detail, but each investor has what's the name? Each investor is managed by an agent. So if you say hello, and then you go to your agent is going to receive. So I don't know who is the agent of this guy, but I'm going to find out. So the agent of this guy is because I don't want to show too much because this is a real thing. Anyway,
Yeah.
agent is Luke Hunter B. So if I go here, so let me go there. Let me find the agent. I want you to see that. Luke Hunter. Okay. So how I can hide this? I want to hide the list on the side because I mean, yeah, it's the real stuff. I don't want to be too much. I don't want to show too much.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's always the trick with running a live solution. And
yeah,
I think there's an important lesson specifically in this situation. So Nick's talking about investors and stuff.
yeah. So
These
okay,
are
I found it. So, okay. See, I sent hello, right? On the web. Okay. We are on the web. This is my internal solution on FileMaker. This is FileMaker, okay? FileMaker, okay. Okay. This is web. This is anywhere in the world. I say hello and I say, hi, Nick. What can I do for you? So you send this, and here the message coming here. Normally, okay. Hey, Nick, what can I do for you? Okay. Normally it's not. It's a Nick Hunter, Nicholas Hunter. It's
right.
not the same guy. It's the same picture, but it's not supposedly not the same guy. This is my test stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, what about this? What about this investment? Okay, and you have here, and you go there, and you have the message coming here. Sometime. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What about? So if you want to build that with PHP, only this is $15,000. Only this. Okay. So to do that with FileMaker is super easy. And to do that, and can you imagine this? You can have a discussion, a live chat on WebDirect with FileMaker, and I can build that in 2 days, right? So look, you can see the benefits when you have a big. I'm not saying that if you want to make this solution, available on the web as it is now, this is impossible. There's way too much thing there. There's way too much things you can there's too many features that won't be able to be adapted, even rebuild on for WebDirect, because it's not meant for that. Okay, but if you want to build some, look how rich this UI is, and so far I don't see any problem in performance. People say, "Oh, this is super slow." No, it's not. It's not. And I'm in the real stuff, right? And the server is on the other side of the country. It's not even in California, right? It's in the East Coast,
Well,
So
yeah, and let me hit
yeah.
something that's kind of important here. So this customer situation, the people who are getting WebDirect access are known people. They're named
Known
users.
people, yeah,
and
exactly.
well, but it's important because people will say, well, how do I make this available for public access? FileMaker licensing is not wired to allow public access with WebDirect. It's just not. If you wanted to do public access, then what you end up doing is you have to write it in Java, jQuery, JavaScript, PHP, etc. Because that allows for public access. WebDirect, FileMaker Pro public access to FileMaker Pro, Go, and WebDirect is really not what you're supposed to do, because FileMaker is going to this licensed user scenario here. Let me just basically the issue with FileMaker is that they are going to this user licensing model, which is really they don't sell Pro separately, then Go, then server separately. I still have people email me and say, hey, I want to buy a server and 12 clients, or 2 servers, or whatever. It doesn't work that way anymore. Basically, it's how many people do you have? Okay, you have 12 people or 15 people. You pay a per fee for each of those people per month, and then you get all the products, right? Pretty much, you get all the products. And so that's their kind of licensing strategy that they're doing. And so WebDirect, you're assuming that those 12 people, you have to really be able to name those people, like Dick Smith, Fred Smith, Tommy John, whatever. These people are all specific people with specific email addresses. You need to be able to do that. If you're wanting to say, hey, it's public access, you're not going to use Pro, Go, or WebDirect. You're going to use the PHP gateway or the data API gateway to go in and to interact with conventional PHP, jQuery, JavaScript, web pages. And once again, that's the area where it gets more expensive to build that. But FileMaker doesn't charge a lot for licensing that. I mean, using that technology is pretty inexpensive, but then you have to pay a lot for the development, right? So that's where it's either because FileMaker Go, Pro, WebDirect are cheaper to build, but there's a higher licensing fee, right? If you just code this stuff, like I want to hire a coder and just code this stuff and use open source stuff, then you're going to have a huge development cost, but then very little licensing fee. So it's kind of this trade-off, right? Which way do you want to go? And that's what FileMaker has always been about, is saving the development time, and then you have to pay kind of a premium for that experience because they saved you all this time. That's the licensing, right? So
look, when I built this stuff here for those people, they had a requirement, and they said, okay, I build the solution for them, and then they show the solution to other people doing the same job. And one guy one day told the owner of this company and said, okay, dude, I don't know how you made that. I don't know how you did that, but I had a quote for something similar, and we were above the $1 million. So because there's a lot of complication. Behind the scene thing is not that simple. What you see here is just the tip of the iceberg, but everything on the bottom. So, and we are way below the $1 million here. We are in the 10,000s. We don't even know.
I think it was between $50,000 and $100,000. I remember correctly. So so it was.
It's not that. It's a lot of money, but it's not. We are way below the traditional development, and that's the beauty of FileMaker. But I want the people to know that it is possible to use that, right? And as you said about about the users, they have a contract. So they have a contract. They have an NDA contract. They have you can open this to everybody on the public. It's not the public. When you log in. When you log in here, you have a login. You need to log in. It's not like you type an address and you need to sign in. You need to do something. But something I want to show you again here. So you have this, let's say you have this login here, and you have you have this login here. So you see you have this layout, because this login is an investor. Okay, low. Okay, this is an investor. Okay, so this is what you have when you are an investor. But let's say I'm going to log in, because they have 2 login possible. They have the investor, and then they have the agent. So that an agent. Okay, so when you log in as an agent, you have a different layout. So you have pretty much a different website with different what's the name? I don't know why it's taking so long.
Well, we are sharing and we're broadcasting.
I'm sharing my screen. I'm sharing my screen. So normally is way more. Okay, so this is what you have, because you are logged in as agent here. But this looks crap, but because it's slow. But you can see that it's kind of different, right? You have a different layout, you have a different aspect here. Is because you're not logged in as the same. You logged in as an agent, not as an agent, not as a. So you can see your own profile and stuff like that. But everything looks bad because it's slow.
Yeah.
But anyway,
That's fine.
you
Nick,
you got
can I
yeah.
make a request? So, I mean, we're doing a lot of high level stuff. I think we've hammered this. What I would love to do is have you talk about some of the things that you do in Pro that don't work in WebDirect or don't work. You should stay away from probably.
Okay, so that's the first problem that you will encounter with WebDirect is the click-through. So let me explain. What's a click-through? Let's say you have a let's go to this the WebDirect the investor. Okay, so when you have a button, you can't have the construction that is like we had before. If you have for example, if you have a button here, okay, I can explain differently. If you have something, this is a button. If you have any kind of thing on top of it, right, even transparent, here, this won't work anymore. So demonstration, I change this. So if I go there, if I click here, you see it doesn't, this works. See, okay, here it works, but here it doesn't work anymore. See, I click here because I have something on top of it.
Yeah.
If I use, yeah, so we call that the click-through. FileMaker Pro, right? The FileMaker Pro has the ability to click through it. That means even though you have now an object on top of a button, the button is prominent. The button is taking over. So that means even if you have this situation. So if you have this situation, like many times we have this situation on portals, we have a button on portals, right? So, and most of the time we put the button on the back of the portal. Okay. So when you have the button when you have the button on the back of the button, when you have the button on the back of the portal, and you have fields on top of it, right, on the portal, that means it won't work anymore. So the first thing that won't work is this. Or even though you have like for example, you have the old style icon, you have a button, and then you paste an icon on top of it, like a drawing picture on top of it. That won't work. So if you have a button and you have something on top of it, it won't work. So that's why we have a problem with the click-through.
Okay, so that's one issue.
That's one issue,
and that's a big one because people always put in like calculation fields underneath something, and then the actual when you click on it, you're not really clicking on the real field; you're clicking on something else. So that little like magical, it's almost like a magic trick pulling a rabbit out of your hat. That doesn't work here. So what other are the common issues that people run into when they are going to say build something for WebDirect, but they learned Pro, they love Pro, now they want WebDirect, and then what's the gotchas?
Okay, so the thing that I will say is to avoid moving, avoid going to one layout to another one. So when you do, you need to make sure that it is valuable to do. I mean, because you cannot say in an invoice, for example, okay, you click here, you go to another layout, and you come back. Like go to layout, do something, and come back. If you do that, it will be slow. It will be it won't look good, and people will complain about it. You cannot have big giant portals. Portals, you need to make sure that everything in the portal is fast and straightforward. Otherwise, you will have problems. But other thing that not working on WebDirect, I have a good technique to do that. You go here on the most of what's not working on WebDirect is script steps. So what you do, you click here, you go to the script workspace, and you say, okay, what is compatible with WebDirect? You select this. You have a filter. So now, when you put something here, you say, okay, you want to open something, right? So let's say you want to open a file, it's not available, it's grayed out. This won't work on WebDirect. It will work on Macintosh, but it won't work on WebDirect. If you want to import, for example, yeah, import works, but for some reason, but export, it works too. But open, I don't know, open help, for example, that won't work. See, so you can see what doesn't work. Here, maybe you can see here, for example, that's a good example. So you can see here, that's a better example. When you open here the steps, this one won't work. After that, so that's a good way to learn or to see what doesn't work. Okay, so this is very clear. So enter preview mode. There's no preview mode. You can do this. You can set the error login. So see, you can see what works, what doesn't work. So I just everything that is about window, because there's no window.
Yeah, let me dive into that one real quick on the window one real quick. So some of you, I'm going to post a link to this, but we have had conversations about the single document interface, and that's what FileMaker calls it. So when you're in WebDirect or you're in FileMaker Go, you live in a single document interface. So on Pro, on Mac or Windows, you can pop a window, and they can be side by side. You can have a big one, you can have a narrow list, whatever you want to do. You can have a bunch of windows. WebDirect, you can open the windows. Go, you can open all the windows, but you can only see one window at a time. So it's basically a single document interface. So window management actually is one of the more jarring changes that people run into, even with Go. We had the video. I'm going to post the link here, but we talked about dynamic window control, managing the windows, and tricks that you had to do because like popovers are great for like showing data. Nick uses a lot of popovers. Tab controls, slide controls, those are all great. But popping multiple windows and then expecting the user to see both at the same time doesn't work so hot because they fundamentally are a single document interface. That's what they call that. So you can only see one thing at a time.
So as you said, yeah, the single. So you can see here, I'm not moving. I'm staying in. All those information are scattered all over the place in the solution, but I'm gathering it using relationship. So I don't move. Also, this is tabs that shows things. Oh, I have a video. Hallelujah. See, so we are in WebDirect with FileMaker, and I have my own YouTube. See, so you can hear the sound, but so you see, you have a video here. And I can play the video, right? So it's kind of very powerful. It's not a toy. It's not something you have to you can dismiss like WebDirect's not for me. It can be extremely valuable. Now about the Windows, so that is interesting topic. FileMaker WebDirect use what we call the virtual window. Okay, so Windows management on WebDirect is very unique. And it is worth a session just for that. And I can, if people are interested, you can start a poll, Richard, if you want. If people are interested, I can come with a session about the Windows management as a whole in FileMaker. So I can show, I can tell, because when I was at FileMaker, I am the guy that did this new window option system that you can go straight to the layouts. I pushed that when I was there. This layouts, the new window with layout, because before you have to do new window and go to layout. Remember, right? So now we can go straight to the window. So anyway, so if people are interested, I can do that. I can do a session about the Windows management, including the Windows management into WebDirect.
Yeah. All right. So hang on one second. So we do have a question here. So Andre was asking the question, since windows are layered, what are if any, benefits to using new window versus go to layout? And I will take that just immediately from the standpoint that when you spawn new windows, especially if the user's not going to see the window, that's really handy for controlling the context. So if the user is on a screen and they have a found set and a sort order, they press a button that runs a script. If that script runs on actually the layout they're seeing, it could totally scramble their found set or sort order. A lot of times we'll pop a new window, even off screen, and say, do all this work, finish it up, and then close that window and bring us back. That way we preserve the context of the user's screen. It just doesn't destroy their sort, order, found set. That's a very big reason to use multiple windows. That's still a valid reason. Just understand that if you're going to show window A versus window B, you can't do both at the same time. It's one or the other.
And that's the reason why I've pushed when I was at FileMaker so much about this new window going to straight to the layout. Why? Because before it was creating a new window with the current layout and then go to the layout. And that was, again, making problems because you were creating a new window with the current layout. So you were triggering all the on layout enter triggers and stuff like that, all the scripts and stuff. That was totally unnecessary. So I agree that the new window technique, that new window, do whatever, and then at the end you close the window. That's the best technique to do. It's the best technique to use to do something like that. For who doesn't know, if you want to create a window that is off screen and won't appear on any of screens, even you have 2 or 3 screens like I have here. I have 3 screens in my computer. You do this. You put a minus and you put 5,000, 6,000 and stuff like that. Don't go to the 50,000. It won't work. You say minus 5,000 on the from top. So that means it's always off from the top. That means it's always off the screen. Always. That's the trick.
And does that work that way still on WebDirect?
No, WebDirect doesn't care. WebDirect
is it going to show it or is it not going to show it?
Okay, here how it works. WebDirect, if what you display takes more than 2 seconds to display, that takes less than 2 seconds, it won't display. That means, let's say you open a new window, you do something and you close the window, it lasts less than 2 seconds, FileMaker WebDirect won't even show anything. Unless you put a freeze window. Okay, if you put a freeze window, everything will work the same way as it works on FileMaker. That means freeze window on WebDirect won't show the window at all.
Okay, yeah. So the idea is to kind of control the experience and make sure things aren't flashing unnecessarily. You're not showing.
Yeah,
people.
it's all. It depends on the situation. There's situation where go to layout is better, and there's ways that new Windows is better. It depends on the situation, and you need to try and you need to do testing and stuff like that.
Yeah. There's not necessarily a concrete rule for that.
No.
John Haggerty was okay. John Haggerty was asking, what is the workaround for the click-through not working on WebDirect, right?
And that's the explanation of why we have sometimes weird stuff that happen, like this one, for example. See, you have here, I have a button, and I have a conditional formatting on the bottom to show which one is active, right? So let me show you on the Mac, here how it is. So let's go to, I am in contact. Okay. So see here, you have this situation here when you click here and you have the thing coming. Okay. So see here how we do that. So you have one button that is on top. It's a transparent button. Okay, completely transparent. There's no fill and no line. Completely transparent. And this has a tooltip as well. Okay. So when you double click here, you have why nothing working? Okay. When you double click on this, you have the scripts. Okay. So this was on top of the layout. Then you have the fields, right? And then you have this, which doesn't have any scripts, but has the conditional. See, you have the conditional. So that normally on FileMaker, the normal construction, you don't need this button on top, this transparent button. We don't need it. Just you need to put that on the background. Even if you have a field on top, it works, right? But because of WebDirect click-through issue, if I have this, constriction on WebDirect, I need to click here outside of the field. If I click here or here or here, it won't work. Only if I click here will work. That's why we put the button on top, a transparent button on top here. Okay, that is the problem. Also, that is also the problem why. So let me revert this. That also the problem why FileMaker Go. That is, I'm stepping a little bit on my session of tomorrow, because you say it's a hack, and I'm going to use that example to prove to you that it's not.
Okay. Are you looking at the conversation on Twitch right now? Because one guy says it's a hack. Is this a hack? Looks like a hack.
This is it's not a hack. This is unfortunately the way FileMaker work. So you need to put a button on top. There's no other. But to be honest, and I don't know if Jacob is watching us and stuff like that, but on the or any PHP guys on the web, it is also the case. If you go apple.com, right? If you go apple.com, okay, you go apple.com. And you put an object on top of a link here, it won't work. This is not a FileMaker issue. This is a web issue. That means if you put something on top of this button here, an object on the code, you put an object there, it won't work. It's not a FileMaker issue. It's,
I think FileMaker's original behavior from the old days was great, but it was kind of unexpected to where it could look through objects to find Basically, when you click on Pro, you're looking through. It's looking through to see what is the layer that it can interact with. Is really whether you click in it or click on it or whatever, it kind of looks through there. And so it's an unexpected benefit or bonus that we get kind of used to. But then we go to like something like the web browser, it doesn't really support that. All right. Well, what other common things are people going to focus on? I mean, I did have someone ask about the custom homepage, and I don't want to get into that too much with this server specifically, because this is a server we can't play with too much.
It's not unnecessary. I can if you want to go there, what's the name? You are free to do, but I can show right click here. I can show why it's totally unnecessary. Here you have your custom page, right? You have a page, and you have sign in, and you go straight to the sign in of this. So you don't need a custom WebDirect FileMaker web page. You know what I mean? You build a traditional website, a PHP, right? You have a PHP, and then here in the PHP you have a button that says go sign in, right?
And so you just bypass the entire home page, which is
yes, and you have your own home page made of PHP. Because if you want to use the customization of the homepage of FileMaker, they made that at the time of IWP, right? And they left it as well as is. But nobody's using that. It's a waste of time. It's very cumbersome when you can just do this. You know, you have a link, they say go there, and bam, that's it.
Question from Scaling 101. When you go to different layouts in WebDirect, does the browser always pop in a new tab?
No. Actually, you cannot pop a new tab in WebDirect. You can't do that unless you open a new session.
Yeah, that's a real. Okay, let's talk about this a little bit. So we talked about the single document interface. Okay, now that you can have multiple windows, virtual windows. So if we can go to, okay, just stop. Yeah, right here. So that is right here. That is a session right here. This is specific to a copy of starting point that's running on a server in Santa Clara. This one is talking to a solution that's running on a server on Amazon. However, so if we're here, for example, and we run a script here and we say new window, new window, new window, there will be 3 windows in the memory of the server in your session, but you can only see one at a time. You cannot tell the layouts to go to, like, pop the layout into a different tab. Once again, when they say virtual window, they really mean virtual, right? So if we were, I'm going to go back to this real quick. And then you see me, of course, over there. But here is the iPad. So once again, we're in FileMaker Go on the iPad. If I drill into the contact, you can see this right here. Let me move myself down a little bit. And so there I am, high. And so if I actually click up here, the top middle item up here, right, what you're going to see is that I can spawn a new window by pressing the plus button down there. And so if I click back at the top, you can see I have 2 windows open, and I can actually see these in Go. Now notice I can only see one at a time, and I can switch to the other one. So these are a single document interface. It can only show one at a time. In the case of Go, Go has this feature to show you what all the virtual windows are. And it could have another one. And this one could be, say, on a back here and on a whatever. And so you click over here, you can see that it could be a list view right there, and maybe a data entry screen. So this right here doesn't exist in WebDirect, but it's still, you can't see it, but it's still there. Does that make sense? So you could name the windows. Like this window up here has that name there. This window, first one on the left is contacts. This is contacts 2. This is contacts 3. Those are default names. You can name them specifically if you want. That makes sense? And so the idea is that with Go, it's kind of cool because you can actually see these. And so if you get confused, you can kind of go in there and see what's going on. With WebDirect, you have to keep them organized in your head, or keep them organized in a variable so you know what the windows are. You can actually ask the system what windows are there, but the user has no way to visually see these in WebDirect, yet kind of the behavior is very similar. So I'm going to go and close that, Nick, and go back to you.
Yeah.
I was kind of showing that window where you flip through the windows and go. You know how?
Yeah. Before we go, I really need to say that, and that was on my note, and this is very, very, very important. That means with WebDirect, you do not control the other end. That means you control the server, you control the solution, but you don't control the player, quote unquote. Okay, you don't control the browser. So that means somebody can have a Mac with a Safari. Somebody who can have a Mac with Chrome. Somebody can have a Chromebook. Somebody can have a Chrome on Windows. Somebody can have the new Window Explorer, whatever. So they can have Firefox. Each browser will render differently, and you will have some drastic differences between browsers. That's why I strongly suggest you stay away from custom fonts and crazy fonts. Okay. You need to make sure that on the other hand, every single people that will run the solution on WebDirect has their font installed in the system. Otherwise, the WebDirect will, the browser will rearrange, reflow the font with a default font, right? And then you can have a big issue. Like here, for example, see the GPS coordinate. This doesn't fit in one row. When if you look on here, it fits. Why? Is because this is too narrow, right? And that's why it is doing this. So if you do this a little bit, okay, it will fix the problem. Okay, so sometimes you have something working well on your computer and doesn't work well, especially on, I'm talking about the fonts. So that being said, there's many things on the font that doesn't work. Condensed fonts, when you go here and you say, okay, I want different styles on the font, those doesn't work. Okay, so those will work, those basic, but advanced style won't work. And the line spacing, everything here won't work neither. Okay, The line spacing, this will work, the alignment will work, but this won't work. And some of style here, subscript, superscript, and those won't work on WebDirect. That's another thing that you need to know, and this is very important on WebDirect. WebDirect does not use FileMaker native control. So we are stepping a little bit on the topic for tomorrow. But when I say control is, you see here the checkbox on WebDirect is not the same on the Mac. See, this one is a generic. The same for menus. Do we have a? You see here, for example, this is. See, you have a FileMaker Pro way to display the drop-down menu. If I go here, you see you are on the WebDirect one. It's not the same. This one is what WebDirect renders, and you have the same issue on. I don't know if you have somewhere drop-down menu. Do we have drop-down menu?
I'm actually answering questions on Twitch, so yeah. If you're asking me, I'm not paying attention.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. So anyway, so you see what I'm saying here. FileMaker is not here. See, for example, this is a drop down. This is the pop-up menu. So if I'm going to an invoice and I'm using the pop-up menu here, it will look completely different, and it won't behave the same when you have a long one. When you have a long let's say pop-up menu like that, it won't be comfortable. It won't be very comfortable. That's why if you have long pop-up menus like that, use instead a popover with a polar, right? A popover with a polar, and then instead of having a pop-up menu with let's say 100, like you know what I mean? I don't know if we have a long one.
I don't. We try not to do those. So yeah. So
yeah. So when you have a long pop-up menu like that, because none of the tricks that we have on FileMaker will work, like typing the first 3 letters. Other thing that popped to my mind that doesn't work at all on WebDirect, because that to answer the question, what doesn't work on WebDirect? What doesn't work on WebDirect is everything keystroke related. The keystroke. All those, when you have an object here and you say the trigger on keystroke, that doesn't work at all, right? Same here. When you use this on keystroke, on layout keystroke, that doesn't work. So you need to know that. That doesn't work on WebDirect.
All right. Okay. So one thing to keep in mind, I will try to find it. There is somewhere a document which kind of outlines all the stuff that doesn't work. That's kind of Pro or Go related, and it doesn't work in WebDirect. I mean, there's enough of that they made a PDF and a document out of it. I think strategically, as I start to wrap this up, I think strategically FileMaker wants WebDirect to be the go-to client, period, across the board. I think WebDirect was kind of a good effort in that direction, but I think it's too limited in terms of like issues that it has and kind of fragility a little bit. I mean, if you need access with WebDirect, for Android devices, then or your IT team is absolutely not cooperative and this is the only way you get access, then yeah, that's fine. But I think in a strategic sense, FileMaker's been talking about the vision, and I don't mean like the vision for the next, from 19 to 20 or even 21. They're thinking down the road like multiple years, and they want Pro and really the WebDirect in an ideal world to be merged together into like this really amazing single product that really kicks butt, and that it works great on the web, because as we go forward, more and more people are doing web activity, and the number of people just running local solutions is less. I appreciate everyone. Nick, are you good?
I'm perfect. So tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye man.
FileMaker. guys just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected. The quarterback, great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Trying to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left for Amendola, reaches up and snacks a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.